Brilliance Audio.
Butcher's Work. True Crime Tales of American Murder and Madness by Harold Schechter. Performed by Christopher Lane. At the stroke of midnight, January 1st, 1866, men throughout Philadelphia, not a few of them well into their cups, let out a whoop and discharged their firearms into the frigid night air. Sporadic bursts from rifles, handguns, even small cannons, would continue for hours, much to the annoyance of slumbering citizens startled awake by the noise. The Philadelphia Inquirer had nothing but scorn for these inebriated revelers. "It is a sad disparagement to the quiet fame of our city," the newspaper declared, "that she alone, of all the cities in the world, bears the stigma of ushering in the new year like a bacchanalian frolic." Another group of men exhibited even more deplorable behavior that night. At about 12:30, an unidentified individual who had been out enjoying the New Year's festivities spotted a curl of flame issuing from the second-floor window of 607 Chestnut Street, a four-story building that housed the elegant Rockhill and Wilson men's clothing store. Sending up a cry of "Fire!" he hurried to the nearby Central Police Station. As the State House bell began booming an alarm, firefighters rushed to the scene. 3 minutes had scarcely elapsed from the outbreak of the conflagration, the Evening Telegraph reported, before hose carriages and snorting engines came rattling and dashing to the scene. As the firemen attacked the flames with axes, ladders, and most powerful streams of water, police officers entered the shattered front doors and, braving the scorching heat and stifling smoke, tried saving as much of the store's expensive stock as possible, hauling out great stacks of overcoats, armloads of doeskin and cashmere pants, vests of the latest cut and richest material. Even as this salvage operation was underway, however, looters hurried to the scene and began making off with as much clothing as possible. 9 of these soulless thieves were arrested, including a fellow named McMenamin, caught while in the act of putting a pair of pants on, though many others escaped with their plunder. "Never within our recollection," the newspaper wrote, "was so much pilfering carried on." For the most part, however, Philadelphians greeted the new year in a manner befitting the goodly Quaker city. In the hours leading up to midnight, Methodists held their traditional watch night service, when sermons were preached, hymns were sung, and the congregation knelt in silent prayer as they waited for the hour to strike 12. On Market Street, throngs of celebrants gathered before the venerable Christ Church, some merrily beating on kettle drums, other blowing horns and all manner of noisy implements as the old bells chimed midnight. Throughout the following day, people paid social visits to the homes of their families and friends, where they would enjoy some light refreshments, a glass of wine, a cup of fragrant coffee, or a mug of hot chocolate, while exchanging earnest wishes for a bright and prosperous new year. Others took advantage of the holiday by attending the special performance of Gounod's Faust by the Maretzik Grand Italian Opera Company at the American Academy of Music, or, for those seeking lighter fare, the grand comic pantomime Old Dame Trot and Her Comical Cat at the New American Theater. Newspapers recapped the momentous events that marked the departed year: Lee's surrender at Appomattox, the assassination of the martyred president, the pursuit and killing of John Wilkes Booth, and the capture, trial, and execution of his co-conspirators. Far less consequential happenings that made the local news were also noted: an explosion at the Fry Fireworks Factory that killed 3 people, the death of Francis L. Brehm, Philadelphia's oldest brewer, a baseball match between the Pastime Club of Baltimore and the Philadelphia Athletics, who won by 46 runs, the theft of $2,000 worth of gold and silver plate intended for fillings and false teeth from the dental supply office of S.S. White, a meeting of the National Convention of Tailors, a serious disturbance in the neighborhood of 11th and Pine Streets when a colored woman took a seat in a railroad passenger car and refused to leave when ordered off the train by the conductor.